Chelsea.
Have you got enough?
I haven't got it yet. It's really funny. I'm waiting for my book, but never comes. They forgot about me. Maybe
for the people. Three of them were arrested yesterday, as everybody will know. It's gone. Have you got something? Right. I'm burning these bills on behalf of the people of Waterford Task Force. 3 who were arrested yesterday. We've got to all go down and show solidarity with the people in Waterford. Stop the bill. I'm burning the fire.
Thank you, Catherine. Thank you.
Can I just say, Brendan Ogle, this is me burning my bill.
Burn them bills.
Reception politicians get. You know what? This is the kind of reception politicians should get. So I want to thank you first of all for the invitation and for the very, very warm welcome. It's very much appreciated. I've always believed that this was more than about water. It's about much more than that. It's about people being pushed too far. It's about the insiders, the wealthy insiders, always having the inside track. It's about citizens being turned into customers with a view to selling off our assets. And it's about so much more. For me, I was asked to come along today and talk about the water contract. I think we all know about the water meters at this stage. And I'm trying to keep a little bit of sense in what I say, because to be honest with you, can you hear me now? Can you hear me now? I was asked to talk to you about the water meter contracts. There's 8 water meter contracts. They're worth in excess of 60,000 each, and they're paid for out of your pension reserve funds. I was curious about how Dennis O'Brien got some of those contracts. There's so much to consider about what we decided to do. When I say we, I talk about the 2 guys in my office, Anne-Marie McNally and Owen Wilson, who helped me, and I'm really grateful for that. subsidiary of SiteServe. And Sierra was sold in February 2012. There was aspects of the sale that I couldn't fathom, and I didn't think you had to be a genius to figure out that there was something that didn't add up. IBRC, as we know, is the former Anglo-Irish Bank and Irish Nationwide. We put in excess of 35 billion euros, 35,000 million euros into that bank of your money. And so we own the assets. They're distressed assets, and we deserve to get every single solitary penny. From those assets, because it is, after all, your money. Mind you, you wouldn't think it was in the courts, but it's your money. So what IBRC did, they told SiteServe to go and sell itself. So what they did was they got KPMG and they got Davy to help them sell that asset. And the company was sold for 48 million. There was 5 million reduced from that. That astonishingly paid the shareholders a 5 million dividend. And you took a loss of 110 million euros. So essentially what happened was, when they went to sell it, they excluded anyone that was involved in the trade. They didn't want them bidding. Now, if you were going to sell something, wouldn't you want to open it up to as wide a group as possible and get the maximum from it? That did not add up for me, and it won't add up for you. And I'm there to represent you. So I started raising this about a year ago in the dog, and getting answers was like pulling hen's teeth. We persisted though. We kept persisting, asking other questions, you know, trying to expand our knowledge on it. And then it bore fruit when we started asking freedom of information questions. And we discovered that it wasn't just us that had concerns about those very things. The officials in the Department of Finance had raised those exact concerns 2 years earlier. And they had told Michael Noonan to go and look for an independent investigation at that stage. That was never done. Not only did they have concerns about that company, but they had concerns about a number of other very large transactions that they didn't think we got the best deal for. So, so the government decided, there was a big fuss about this then, we had found out this information, we got it out into the public arena, and they decided what they were going to do was, they were going to appoint the special liquidator from KPMG. The same company that was involved in the sale were going to do a review of the sale. I thought they were joking. I thought somebody was winding me up when I heard that, because it wasn't a credible, independent inquiry. It wasn't an inquiry that you'd see through it, just as I could see through it. So basically, the Taoiseach said that if there was the same questions after that review was done, if there was still questions, that he would ask the Controller and Auditor General to do a further review, because the Controller at that stage didn't have the legal authority to do that. So do you know what we did? We tried to help the Taoiseach out on this, and we wrote the legislation. And I went into the Dáil and I introduced the legislation, and I caused a little bit of a fuss. And I think you probably know some of the things that couldn't be reported, that now can be reported after that. We have privilege in the Dáil for one reason, and that is because it's a very deeply democratic thing that we should protect at all costs. So I use that privilege to introduce that and to talk about some of the issues that should be investigated. So really, to cut a long story short, the government have now established an independent inquiry that will report by Christmas, possibly after the general election. But you know what? I think people have their eyes open now. And I know by the support that I've been getting that we have a country that is wide awake. Now, just as I found it difficult to get answers last year on the site serve issue, suddenly this year there's a difficulty. I know Paul Murphy had asked several questions, others, I see Desi Ellis there, others had asked questions about you know, how much, how many people have paid to date. And you know what? You can't get it on freedom of information. It has to be appealed. And you know what? If loads of people have paid, if there was 80% of people that had paid, do you know what? They'd be rushing out to tell you. Make up your own minds. You're intelligent people. You make up your own minds about that. So, look, I believe in conserving water. I believe we need to fix the pipes. But I also believe that Irish water's days are numbered.
Thank you very much. It's Scotland Water. And thank you for all your hard work and service. We do appreciate it. Thank you.
How's it going, folks? Kieran Healy from Communities Against Water Charges in Dublin North East. In just 1 year, the anti-water tax movement has grown into a mass movement. The political establishment didn't see it coming, so it took them a few months to figure out a strategy to try and defeat the resistance to the water tax. That strategy was based on a combination of bribery and bullying. But for their strategy to work, they needed all of us to buy into it. So answer me this. Are you going to be bought off with a €100 water conversation, Brian? Are you going to walk away from the resistance because Leo Varadkar told you it had a sinister fringe? Are you going to go home because the promise to cap the price of water until 2018? Are you going to give up because Dennis O'Brien's newspapers tells you that this is a lost cause? Are you going to accept water meters because their High Court tells you to? Are you going to stop protesting because Owen Kelly wants to spray you with Cleary? Are you going to abandon your own streets because the cops have batons and pepper spray? Despite all the lies that have been peddled by the government over the last year, one fact has emerged above all others. We have Irish water and the government on the run. And we need to keep them on the run. The anti-war tax movement started out as a genuine people's movement. It doesn't belong to any one political party, or any one group, or any one person. It belongs to you, the people of the communities from which it sprang, and it needs to stay that way. Experience has shown that we can trust nobody but ourselves to finish this fight. The water tax is as unjust now as it was then when it was first announced more than 5 years ago. It won't be beaten by politely waiting for the next election. It can and will be beaten by a multi-fronted campaign of opposition, by stopping the water meters from being installed, by removing the water meters, by refusing to pay Irish water bills, by persuading your family and friends to join the campaign, by small, medium and large protests, by organising locally and nationally. There is no point in waiting until after the election to bury Irish water when we can bury and kill it now. 100 years ago, Patrick Pearse wrote a poem called The Rebel. In it he warned the political establishment that their days were numbered. That change was on the way. These are his words. And I say to my people's masters, beware. Beware of the thing that is coming. Beware of the risen people who shall take what ye would not give. Did ye think to conquer the people, or that law is stronger than life, and that man's desire to be free? We will try it out with you. Ye that have harried and held, ye that have bullied and bribed, tyrants, hypocrites, liars. As we approach the centenary of the 1916 Rising, we can all take inspiration from Pearse, from Connolly and from the other leaders. Let us finish the unfinished business of 1916 and reclaim our country from the corrupt political class, the thieving bankers, the dodgy developers, the slum landlords, the ruthless bosses and the vulture capitalists. And then we can have an all-Ireland republic that, in the words of the 1916 proclamation, cherishes all of the children of the nation equally. We communities against water charges will see this fight through to the end, to the only acceptable result, the abolishment of the water tax. Together we will ensure that Irish water is dead to the water for the modern era.
Thank you very much, Cleary. No, lads, if you don't notice, we will take a fucking show around here for Stephen Bennett. Stephen Bennett is a water protester who's been wrongfully arrested and wrongfully incarcerated for the last 22 days. There it is. Free Stephen Bennett. 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 Free Stephen Bennett.
This is for Free Stephen Bennett.
Free Stephen Bennett. The fucking is everyone there. This is for good generously. Whatever was had, we know everybody's got more money. That's why we're here. Time, love time. Don't forget we have $1 billion of boats raised on the stage here. We got a barrel over here coming by a good pal Dave, and then gets over on the other side here. Who's got the burgers? Our next speaker is Mr. Paul Mallett from Dublin says no. Dublin Land. How the power like you, mate?
I wrote 26 pages because there's so much to be said about our current political system and our government. None of it good. But I'm only going to keep to a few pages and make a few short points. Dublin Says No was a group that started over 2 years ago, before water became an issue, and we marched against austerity, the austerity that was imposed by Fianna Fáil in the bank bailout and Fine Gael and Labour in the promissory note debt that was handed to the Irish people. And the people that came together to start Dublin Says No were absolutely inspired by the man who will follow me, Dermot Murphy from Ballyhay, and he always has passed. We went to see them 2 years ago, and I got a bangle. There's Ballyhay Says No, and I haven't taken it off once in 2 years, and it won't come off until austerity is gone from this country for good. Let's have a quick show of hands. We know what's happening in Greece at the moment, and it's happening because the Greek government had the balls to go to the EU and the ECB and the IMF and tell them to get stuffed with their austerity. They're doing their absolute best to protect their people, their citizens, their families, their elderly, their sick, their children. Hold up your hand if you would love to swap our government for the government that the people of Greece have. We have absolutely been betrayed and abandoned by the people that we elected to represent us. And Dublin Says No, and all the protest groups, the seeds of all that campaigning was sown in the early months of this government's reign. That's what it is, right? It's a reign. It's not a tenure. It's not a term. It's a reign of absolute terror and fascism. And from the very first budget of this government in 2011, it was absolutely clear that everything they campaigned on to get into power was a lie, an absolute lie. And when Enda Kenny and Michael Noonan and John Burton and Brendan Howard and the rest of them opened their mouths, you can be guaranteed of two things. One, they're telling a lie, and two, they're not telling the truth. For generations in our country, in every town and village across the land, we have been told and taught to respect authority. In every village, there were 4 people held up as the pillars of the community and society. The parish priest, the bank manager, the Garda sergeant, and the local TD. But respect is not something that should be surrendered or given away. Respect is something that has to be earned. And none of these people have earned an iota of respect from the citizens of Ireland. The claim for respect for authority is over. We have to respect ourselves and realise that actually we're on our own. We have to fight our own battles. The political parties are not fighting for you. They're not out to protect you. They're fighting for the people that back them, that give them political contributions. Dennis O'Brien is among them. How could Dennis O'Brien get a write-down of your money of €119 million to buy SiteServe? And the banks can also write down 100 million of independent news and media debt. And yet he can contribute to Hillary Clinton's campaign to become president of the US. That is a definition of a traitor. We can no longer have respect for the people in our party. I have no respect for them. The people I respect are the people that are representing us, fighting for us. Among them is a man in ridiculed, dismissed, laughed at, discouraged, bullied. When the people that you have respect for are the ones that the authorities are ridiculing and bullying, you know where your loyalty should lie. It says a lot about the major parties, Fianna Fáil, Fine Gael and Labour, that none of the whistleblowers, when they have something to expose, will go to them. They go to the independents, and they are the people that need to be supported in the next election. The biggest challenge we have for the future of our country is not just to get rid of Irish water. It's to absolutely dismantle the grasp that the crowded parties have on our nation and our system. We don't have democracy in this country because what you vote for is ignored when these people walk into the halls of Leicester House. We don't even have a political system. What we have is a 5-year cycle of abuse. Our sick are abused by being left on trolleys in hospital corridors. Our children are abused by having to go to school hungry. Our elderly are abused by being abandoned and not protected when they can be abused literally in care homes around the country. Our unemployed are abused and exploited because at the end of a week's work they get €50. Not enough to feed them, not enough to pay their rent, not enough to survive on. We have people, families, abandoned and abused by a government that won't protect them and a judicial system that will throw them on the streets for money that was already paid to banks that was bailed out. Imagine next year we'll celebrate 1916. There's not much to celebrate. Imagine if we went back to 1915 now and told Pearse and Connolly and Plunkett the state of the country that they had given to us. Imagine if we went back to James Connolly and told him that the Labour Party had abandoned the working man. Imagine if we went back to Pearse and Connolly and Plunkett and told them that the country they tried to save is still in the hands of foreign, unelected powers. And the government is a fascist regime that protects corporate interests and oppresses ordinary citizens. Imagine if we went back and told them that. It's not far-fetched to think that if they knew that, Pearse and Connolly and Plunkett might just say, fuck it, it's not worth it. And that is a shame that we carry into 2016. And our politicians will be here in less than a year's time. And they will be lamenting the heroes that were lost on these streets. And they'll be claiming a lineage and a heritage from Pearse and Connolly and Plunkett that they have absolutely betrayed. Shame!